This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we're taking a look at the Prism Performance Management Solution, which is fully integrated. So all of the employee position information ports in and all of the appraisal dates port back into the employer records. It is fully featured with email notifications for when appraisals are due and overdue. It also has a feedback feature, which allows us to set up different frequencies for feedback only between managers and employees, which helps managers develop employees and stay in touch with them and have a better understanding of the development of the employee instead of looking at it just once per year. We're going to go through a few different appraisal styles. What we're looking at here is the supervisor's dashboard. We have analytics at a glance, the appraisal process and the appraisals where they're at in the process. We also have the current appraisal lists that are due and the overdue appraisals here, which the supervisor can click into right from here, or they can go into the all appraisals menu item and filter by employee if they prefer to do it that way, or by status or type. And the supervisor can now see all of Dwight Schrute's open and in progress appraisals. It also will show any previous appraisals that have been completed. I'm going to go through a few different styles to kind of show you what we're talking about. So this one has a weekly feedback, but keep in mind it can be any frequency of your choice. And these are simply communication tools, and you can see all of the historical communications between Michael and Dwight listed below. And when it's time for Michael to provide weekly feedback, or for the employee to, they'll receive an email notification and they can document the feedback right from the email. They don't even have to go into the portal and go to performance management. So they can provide their feedback and then hit save, and that will send the email with the feedback to the other party in the routing path. So that's just one simple example. Going back to all appraisals, we'll go ahead and look at Dwight's other appraisal styles. We have one called the simplified workflow, and this will help the appraisal process be even easier than a traditional appraisal, where all the competencies are listed on one page, and the competency label and description are shown with the main evaluation rating scale to the right. The scale range can be any numeric value. This one is 1 to 3. And when you rate the individual on, say, adaptability, and you pull the slider over, the vernacular that's tied to the scores is completely customizable as well. In the simplified view, you give the ratings according to the competencies, and then list your feedback here and click save at the bottom. So this is just a really simple way to do appraisals. Now, a traditional format would be our competencies and goals example. And we've got one right here to show you. And in this appraisal style, we've customized it to have 4 different sections: competencies, goals, coaching, feedback, and documents. Dwight's information is up here, and here we have the date range or the cycle of the appraisal. This can have both current and future goals, which I'll show you here in just a moment. And when you use this style, you do click into each competency and each goal. And on this screen, it will give you the definition, the description, the feedback section, and the evaluation section. You can also take a look at how Dwight, the employee, has rated himself on this particular category of adaptability. He gave himself a 4. Now, Michael Scott, the supervisor, can come over here and say, well, not a 4, but I'll give you a 3. You met my expectations. Now, if the supervisor needs help with the conversation starter for the feedback, they can go into the coaching library. Feedback can be required on a minimum and maximum threshold. So if we set those, let's say, to 2 and a 5, or 2 and a 4, if they score below a 2, feedback would be automatically flagged to be required for a low score. And if they scored above, let's say, a 4, giving them a 5, they'd also be, flagged to provide the feedback here. The coaching library is easily accessible when that feature is enabled. So you can go into the particular coaching library conversation starters for adaptability. and look at all of the possibilities, or you can go and filter by positive feedback or by areas that need improvement. So that's very helpful and makes the whole process much, much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and save the score, and then to get to the next competency, I just hit the next button. So it's very easy to use as well. Basically, completely intuitive. So there's not really any training required. The goals. So they can be tied to organizational goals, or they can be department specific. They can be current or future. So in the current goal section, when we go into like research goal, we have the description and also the ability to modify the percentage of completion. So we've got our due date over here. It's still in process. It's a current goal. It's tied to an overall company goal set at the admin level, which is a sales goal. And as the supervisor comes in here and rates the individual on the percentage of completion, can also provide feedback and then score the individual as well. Now, the future goals will stay open outside of the appraisal, the general appraisal cycle. So on the future goals, they'll have different deadlines, and the system will continue to send the automated updates on the frequency of choice, whether that be milestones, quarterly, monthly, whatever you need. Do you guys have any questions so far?
Jamie, I've got one question. If during the process of Michael evaluating this Dwight guy, if Dwight leaves the company, does it completely disappear from Michael's dashboard and everything?
No, the historical archive of appraisals, feedback, documents will remain in the library of the system. So you can always access the terminated employee's information.
Okay, but what I'm more looking at is like it drops off, that he doesn't need to do any more evaluation or anything, and is it automatically removed?
Yeah,
okay.
when you terminate an employee, yes, it will update the performance management solution. Same with if you have, let's say, a supervisor change, and you make those changes in Prism, those will update the performance management solution, and it will affect the routing. So it will correct the routing to the proper appraiser and approvers. So it's very, very user-friendly.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a really neat tool, and it's super easy to use. I want to take you over to an admin view now, so you can take a look at how easy it is to set up appraisals based on the template system that it has. This is an admin dashboard, and we're going to go right into settings so I can give you a look at that from behind the scenes view. So first thing I'm going to go to are appraisal settings, and there are 3 different tabs here: appraisal types, global settings, and company goals. So we were talking about the company goals because we were just looking at the goal setting, and we have one company goal set up in this demo account. It's the sales goals, and those are tied to all of the sales goals for individuals in the sales department on those specific appraisals. So that way you can do reporting on those. Now the appraisal settings, under the first tab, appraisal types, this is where all of the company's different types of appraisals are set up, whether they be feedback only, competencies and goals, a simplified version, or maybe it's a performance improvement plan that you need in your library, or a corrective action that you can use manually by clicking on it and assigning it to an individual when the time comes. I'll go ahead and open the template for competencies and goals since we just looked at that one. And the competencies and goals this has been completely customized with a name and description. And there are 2 sides to the screen. There's the settings side and the active sections. And so when you set one of these up, you add sections, and then you select the type of section that you want. Do you want it to be documents, notes, a summary, an eval, a goals, or routing? So this one for competencies page, we just used the general evaluation. We labeled it as competencies and we gave it an overall weight of 75, whereas the goals are weighted at 25 on this particular one. It is not the simplified version. It's where you click into the detail page. This section is required to complete. It does display both the weight and scores. And the section is locked down because generally competencies shouldn't be changed at that level by a manager or by employees. So we have that section locked down. Whereas in the goals, both the employee and supervisor can update the percentage of completion and the status of the goals, and they're able to go in and redefine the goals as needed. And then finally, we did have a notes section and a document upload section attached. What's really great about this system is you don't have to print out the entire appraisal to get to the documents. You can actually go to a specific employee's record and go to the Documents tab, and all documents that have been attached to appraisals are found there, and you can select the ones that you want to preview or download or print, just as a side note. The settings tell the appraisal how you want it to behave, and this is very robust because it allows you to not only automate the entire process based on trigger events and dates, but also it allows you to have multiple appraisal styles open at the same time. So you can have the current and the future goals. You can have the feedback and the standard appraisal, even if they cross each other during the calendar year. Additionally, if you want to do like a new hire introductory appraisal, you can select from numerous time spans like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, what we've chosen here. And then we've also chosen for this one to go out annually on the anniversary date after the 90-day probationary period appraisal goes out. Additionally, this one has the settings that I mentioned for the thresholds on the scoring. So this will require feedback from anyone who gives themselves less than a 2 or higher than a 4 or appraises somebody else around those thresholds. And then the last section here, the general settings, are where you can really see some more flexibility because this is where it allows you to solicit feedback from other people in the organization if you'd like to do that. It's where it can enable electronic signatures and calendar reminders. And beneath that are the evaluation levels, and these are completely customizable. So you select the range that you want on each appraisal style, whether or not you want to score it, and also what increments you want to score it in, whether it be whole, half, or quarter numbers, and then what you want those descriptions or definitions to be by score. Do you guys have any questions about the template-based system so far?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. I mentioned the system libraries. So the system libraries are here. We've got the competencies and the coaching. So you can go into the library of available competencies that come with the system, but you can also add to this library, rename competencies so that they're more recognizable in your company. And this is also how, once you've built a specific appraisal, you can go into the competency of your choice and then add it to whatever appraisal that you've built and you're trying to add that to. So let's say, you have a specific appraisal for your finance department and you have labeled it finance factors. So under either the competencies or the goals, you can select and add this particular competency to that with the description. So it's very easy to go in and complete the appraisal that you've built and also to modify it later or to create another version of it. So very, very user-friendly. You can have multiple appraisers and people in the routing path. So when we go into our employees, of course, all your employees are ported in here with their department, their title, who they report to, their date of hire, their role. And then when you go into a specific employee, like Dwight, you can see all of their appraisal history right from here. And then you can create, let's say that, a corrective action needs to be made or a performance improvement plan. This is where you could go into an individual and manually assign any one of your appraisals that you have. So if you want to assign a performance improvement plan, All the routing is already set up because, you know, that's predetermined. It's going to go from the manager to the employee, probably back to HR. There might even be another person involved in that chain. So it's really easy to work within the system once you have all your templates set up. The employee information ports in from Prism. And also this does track all the activity in the system, whether it be a note or just a log of activity. So you can parse those out and export those. You can add notes here as well if you need to. Employment history is tracked here and their roles in the system. So like this particular employee only has employee portal access. They are not an admin or a manager user. So you can see that right there, and you can also modify it. So that is high level, all the features of performance management. Did you guys have any questions about what you've seen today?
I don't think so.
And we're looking at each other like, no, I mean, it seems straightforward.
Yeah, it really is. There are a couple other small features I could show you right away. We do have an email template. This is one style of email that could go out for feedback that also includes like a coaching section and document storage. And what's great about the emails in the system when they do go out, when you're soliciting feedback or whether or not they're automatic or automated feedback messages with content, the recipient can actually work in the feedback right from the email. All they have to do is click and provide their feedback and save it, and then they're done. So they don't have to go log in anywhere. They can do all of their work right from the email. So it's just one final tip on that. So what do you guys think? Is this something that you could see yourself using for your organization?
Could you kind of walk us through maybe that, Dwight employee, just kind of walk us through. We're looking at these different screens and then kind of show, I know we sort of went over it, but just kind of recap again. So we're looking at the appraisal status overview. We couldn't find Dwight on that per se, because that's just general for the whole company, right?
Right.
For the appraisal count.
Right.
Current appraisals, Dwight is down there at the bottom of that list, right?
Yes.
On the screen there. So
yes.
Ready to evaluate.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we could, just click on that one.
Sure, no problem. It's going to load the view. We saw earlier, this is the one with the 4 different sections. It's more of a traditional style, and you can access it right from your dashboard.
Okay, and then this is what, because I know there was admin settings that we looked at, and this dashboard here with all these employees, what is this one called again? We are
looking at Michael, the supervisor's dashboard, or we
were,
more like
and then supervisor or manager's dashboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we clicked into the employees view. I can show you an employee view.
So the next thing would be, how does he begin his appraisal process? Sure.
So just using this particular template, first of all, he's received an email notification, and then also he's received the evaluation right here on his dashboard. So the email notification links him to this dashboard. He can click on it from there, or when he's in the Prism portal, he can click on performance management and come here, either way. And then he can go directly to any of these open appraisals right from the dashboard, or if he wants to go into one of the overdue ones to get those knocked out, he can click to go into those as well.
Okay.
And so as the supervisor goes into the particular appraisal of choice, and I picked a really bad one. That's just one that has.
Yeah, let's go back to Dwight and stick on Dwight.
Yeah.
Just kind of, let's
Yeah.
walk through Dwight's appraisal.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. I think this is the one. Yeah. Okay. So I've already gone into adaptability and done that one. So I'm gonna do the next competency as his supervisor.
What did you just click? I'm sorry, you went so
Sure.
fast. You just clicked on some, but I didn't see it.
Sure. Okay, so we're on the competencies page.
Yeah.
We've already earlier in the demo, we went into adaptability and we gave him a 3. Okay,
Got it.
business development is the next one. So I'll click into business development.
Okay.
And let's say I'm going to give him, I've read the definition or description. I know what I'm supposed to be rating him on. If I want to check any of the recent feedback, I can do that here between me and any others.
Yeah, scroll to the top. So description is there anything out of the box, or is it pretty much the company that creates those descriptions?
Well, this is a competency, so it comes with over 50 different competencies.
Okay.
So yeah, you have a good start, and then you can add to the library.
Got it.
Yeah. And so at this point, usually a supervisor is going to want to see how the employee rated themselves. Dwight is saying he gave himself a 3. He's meeting the expectations on business development, but perhaps Michael feels differently. Maybe he thinks he's below expectations. And then
so where is, in this screen, or on this competencies for Dwight, where is the supervisor looking at what Dwight has filled out or completed with his questionnaire of his evaluation?
He can look at the rating scale here, and if there's any feedback that Dwight also gave when he gave himself this 3, it would be dated here, and you can see the entire history.
So for each and every different competency, there's that feedback history there. Okay, so if Dwight wants to put in a feedback based on whatever he's scoring himself on. Okay.
Exactly.
And then what is the all right, so that's print over there, blue and red, but how does it show where the progress is of where Dwight is at in completing his side of his evaluation, I guess?
Okay, so how does like when
it's like an annual review, right? So where is he at in his? All we know is that he's overdue, right? We know he didn't finish. But where is he at? What is it? Oh, it says completed over there.
Yeah, Dwight finished.
So where does it show what his tasks were, whatever he had to do as part of his evaluation? Where was all that?
So an overall view, you could preview it this way if you wanted to look at it as in a report view. But you get the status of what Dwight did, and then in this.
So if Dwight's completed, I'm a supervisor or manager, I'm coming in here, I want to see everything that Dwight worked on for his annual evaluation. Where's my snapshot? See exactly what he worked on, so it's not a part of the ongoing annual with goals and everything else. Where is the quick snapshot of just the annual review?
So we can look at a simplified view. This one is a more traditional one where you can see, you have to click into each competency to see at this point how Dwight scored himself, or you can go up to the options and review it in a PDF format. So if you wanted to just see like the final appraisal report shows all the.
Yeah, let's take a look at the report on the final appraisal of everything, the big picture.
Yeah. So this is going to give you an evaluation summary with the total final score once it's been completed. The scoring key is also provided. Then it gives you overall for each section, and then it gives you details. So then it'll break out each competency and show what Michael scored, what Dwight scored, and then all the feedback related to that competency. And then it moves you to the next competency, which is business development. Michael hasn't scored him yet. Dwight gave himself a 3. All the feedback is there. And then, of course, it moves you through the goals, whatever goals were set and what the scores are and the feedback and any future goals. And then if there was just general coaching feedback, it even provides a section for that as well.
Okay.
So that's
Just
one.
go to the top of this, and let me look at the top real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Scheduled Dwight, or whatever, Schrute appraisal, 2019 Dwight Schrute appraisal. And it shows the period, 9/1/9. Now, how does it determine what the period is? Is it just after the 90 days and then it shoots out a whole year for the period? Is that the idea?
That's all determined in the settings. It's completely customizable. So
All right.
when we create the appraisals or show you how to create new ones, you can definitely do that in the admin settings.
And it says status ready to evaluate, although he's done with his, I guess, annual review for his competencies.
It's
Right.
still at ready to evaluate because the supervisor hasn't completed his portion.
So, all right, show us what the supervisor would need to do to complete his section.
Okay, so he would go in this format, he would go into the next one, which is business development, review what Dwight scored himself on, and then perhaps give Dwight a score as well, and then provide feedback. If he needed assistance with the feedback, he could go into the feedback library, or sorry, that's the wrong one, into the coaching library. And let's say he wanted some help with, you know, some comments to get the conversation started. He could do that and put those in along with his additional comments. He could even choose to send that to the employee right now, or just have it print on the appraisal, or select not to print it on the appraisal if he doesn't want to. And then
Okay, hold on 1 second. Don't leave that screen.
Sure.
So
Sure.
we went over that there's 2 different libraries. The competencies library has 50 different templates, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then
50 different
how much, is there in the coaching and feedback library?
Over 50. I don't have an exact number, but
Okay.
over 50 different ones.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then, of course, the supervisor will complete this particular competency and then close it out because he's rated him on both competencies, and then move to the goals section. And the goals can be current or future.
Right.
So go into the current goals, go in and update the percentage of completion, right here.
And then let's just touch on what Matt was saying, I think before we started recording the call, possibly, where, there's the ongoing, aside from just an annual review. So this would be a part of the ongoing performance management, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you can have both current and future goals. So the current goals might be set with a different deadline than the future goals.
Yeah, because they could have monthly goals, quarterly goals, depending on what their job duties are, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And also.
So what else? What else could we do outside of regular reviews other than goals for performance management?
Probably the feedback sessions are really helpful. Some organizations are doing monthly feedback between, employee managers to keep them on track with each other and help develop the employees at a faster rate.
Got
Make
it.
sure all the projects.
Yeah, because there could be an employee, maybe you have a team goal for a department or a team, and then they're, getting a little maybe sidetracked on what they're trying to achieve, and then maybe a supervisor can go in there and give some feedback to the team about how to kind of coach and mentor them a little bit to stay on track.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's really easy from the dashboard to coach and mentor in the form of feedback because we have the send feedback button here, and you can choose your whole team and then send the whole team a message. Or you can choose specific people, and they will all receive an email notification once that has been completed with the feedback in the email.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you were touching on when you were demoing it, kind of giving us an idea that it could be, you know, several layers for evaluations, or even possibly giving, you know, coaching and feedback as well. So maybe you've got team members, team supervisor, maybe team manager, and so on. So, or even for an employee's evaluation, there could be a few layers of, you know, supervisor, management director, something like that.
Yes, definitely. You can have multiple appraisers and approvers, and we can set up the routing paths automatically on each appraisal style. So they can all be different. Some of the appraisal styles that you have in your library may not need to go to all those different levels, and so they're set up by appraisal.
Well, let's say there's a project in the company and you pull a team of people, maybe from different departments, and they got to, you know, work on a project all together, and then that's where I guess there could be different appraisers to evaluate it, maybe supervisors from those separate departments, or the supervisor of the team or the project, I guess, and then that's how you could kind of.
Yeah, and that is totally possible in the system. Yeah, and you could call it like Project A evaluation or update. You know, you can name it whatever you want, and then assign it to the routing hierarchy, and then have it go out on the frequency of your choice. And it could be feedback only, where you're just wanting comments and updates instead of scoring. Or it could be goals. It could be a goals-based appraisal that goes out automatically once a month to that team of people. Maybe it's all your department heads are working on a common goal or project. Yeah.
So if you're high, you know, if you're high up at, you know, executive level, you want a big, you know, 30,000-foot overview of, you know, the company in general, with performance management of all the different employees and, you know, teams or whatever the case may be. How do they get the big picture of what's going on with the health of the company based on all this information?
The admin user or users assigned in your corporation can pull reports that will give scores by department or by
Can you show us a sample of that?
This is going to be very disappointing, and I apologize. This demo system does not have a lot of reports. But we'll take a look at them, and that is something that we're working on behind the scenes to gather enough data to provide good reporting. Let's see here. We'll go into the admin view. So the admin view has a reporting link, and there are different types of reports, from performance to routing to the libraries to just the analytics and the company reports. So the performance appraisal report styles, and like I said, there's not much data in here, but we have one called the open appraisal score. So all the open appraisals you can pull a report on. You can pull it on the completed appraisals, the ones that are shared. So like in your scenario where there's multiple appraisers, you can pull a report just on that. And then either with scores or just the status. And then there's the section scoring report, which is going to be like by this, like all the competency scores or all the goal scores. Past due performance appraisals reports, you can pull a report to see who all is past due. And then the feedback milestone report, which tracks the particular milestones that are set up for projects or goals. Some of the more popular overall reports are like the overall appraisal score and the gap analysis. So I'll open this so you can kind of see how it works, but you can filter it by supervisor or by status. So you could see like by supervisor all their completed evaluations, or let's see, let's go back to reporting. But those are the types of reports. Like I said, I can't really pull any data. The gap analysis report filters by supervisor, by employee, and then the specific appraisal of choice. So if you did have like a project A, you know, update, you could go in here to your list and pick it, and then you could filter it by supervisor or run it for all. And all of these go to a chart or to a grid when the grids export to Excel.
Right. So can you just pull one report with some data on it? I mean, you got a lot of sample employees in the system. What report could you show us a high level overview of, you know, completed appraisals?
Let's see if I could do that. Yeah, let me see if I could do that for you. Let's see, completed appraisal score report. I'll do a really big date range so we can pull some data out of here.
That's fine.
Hopefully that will help. And we'll just do it through like today. And then we'll just do all supervisors. Right? Yeah. And then just run the report and see what we get. We pulled one. So this is a completed appraisal, but it's a feedback only style. Now, if it was one that had scoring, like competencies and goals, it would provide the overall score of the overall final score for this particular individual. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you can see a big snapshot of a completed appraisals with the scores report for a certain time frame. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And this question comes up like, well, what is included in the state range? Well, it would be all the completed appraisals that were completed within the state range. Okay. That's a frequent question that I get. Yeah.
So the reporting looks pretty dynamic.
Yeah.
And then what does it look like if it goes to a grid?
Let's change that. So here's the grid, and you can export it to Excel.
Excel. Are all your reports, if they have the grid style, are they all able to export?
Yes. If you run them as results to grid, you'll be able to export to Excel.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Great question.
You guys have anything else you want to show us on the system? Oh, can you show us the employee viewpoint?
Sure, no problem. We just log out of the admin and we'll go in as Dwight. So when they receive an email with a link to click in, it'll take them to their appraisal dashboard or their performance management dashboard, and they'll be able to see right away what they need to work on. So they can click in to an appraisal from here and then evaluate themselves. And this is a simplified view. So the employee can go in and give themselves a rating, make their comments below. But this is a quick way to get through appraisals in the simplified view.
Does it show all the, approvers or people who will be appraising them? I mean, I see supervisor at the top. So if there's 2 or 3 people involved who are going to be doing, appraisals on that employee, will it show everybody involved who's doing the appraisals?
Not from the employee view, but the admin view where it is all set up, you can go to an employee record and actually see who's a part of the appraisal process.
Okay. All right.
And on a supervisor view, I saw there was an option to disable the employee rating. So does it just gray it out, or does it?
Yeah, you can lock the sections down, and you can show it with or without the weights and the scorings.
Okay. So another question is, so if the employee does their rating on themselves, the self-analysis, and then the supervisor does his, how do they compare what the employee evaluates themselves at compared to what the supervisor's viewpoint is? See if they're on the same page or not. I'm sure that's going to be, a huge conversation starter there.
Yeah, definitely. So once the evaluation has been completed by the supervisor, a notification goes back out to everybody that it's been completed, and then the employee can click in and see how the manager has rated them.
Okay. Yeah, because I would imagine then they have to meet and then discuss, you know, what the manager's evaluations were and scoring compared to the employee.
Right, exactly. So Dwight will be able to click.
Side by side or anything, or how do we?
Yeah, so let's go into the first competency, and Dwight should be able to see. Okay, so Dwight has evaluated himself. So the end product is going to be a notification to the employee, and then you can determine whether or not you want employees to be able to see their historical or completed appraisals, and those would be a part of their dashboard history. They would be able to go in and click to open any completed evaluations from their dashboard. So we don't have a completed one here. These are all in ready to evaluate stage, but they would have a completed appraisal that they could click on and open to review it. They would receive a notification email that it was there, and then of course the communication would begin between the manager and the employee to, like, let's sit down and talk about this eval.
Yeah, so, all right, so then the manager can print out his evaluation, one for him, one for the employee, then they can go meet, discuss, you know,
exactly.
differences. How about onboarding plans? What's that on the right side?
Oh, that's actually another solution that is an electronic new hire onboarding tool. Are you using the onboarding in Prism that we have today?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just a different tool that actually came with the bundle when we purchased the company that developed this.
Okay.
Sometimes there are demos for that, so it's a part of this.
It's not like a workflow for that employee to do whatever they got to do to get onboarded, you know, for their own task that they have to accomplish or something to get ramped up in the position or anything?
It's just like, it's very similar to what you're using today, where they walk through and complete their I-9 and all of that.
Okay. What else does the employee see on their portal? Anything?
With the performance management solution, what they would see is, of course, the branding, their profile, and then their performance appraisal widget right here.
Okay. And the employee, is the employee signing in to some other portal than the main portal that we would have set up for the client for self-service?
No, they would never have to go to the portal for performance management because it's single sign-on to Prism. So they'll have a, they'll have a performance.
When the employee signs in to check their benefits, W-2, PTO, they'll see.
Yeah,
like
so like if we have a sample of it for you that I can show you. So they can go in from the email, or they can go in from their dashboard, and it will be a menu.
Would have a link thing.
Yes, and the menu item performance management would be a part of their. Okay.
Let's just go straight to the dashboard.
Yeah.
What about a supervisor? So it's the same thing if a supervisor has employees underneath him, you know, how they can see their employees on their employee portal sign in?
Yes.
They can.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm logged in as a supervisor into the employee portal. So just like they have their My Employees and My Approvals, they'll have their performance management dashboard.
So, okay. So then when they click their performance management dashboard, it'll take them right
It'll
here.
just go right here. Okay. And this is our new demo site. This is where we're going to be building all of the history, and it's actually a project of mine. So that's why there's not anything in here yet. We just got this, so we can demo it from here. So that's going to be nice.
You know, Jamie, what features do you feel your system doesn't have that maybe other companies have that you guys are trying to get implemented? Is there anything that, you know?
No, from performance management standpoint, just solely appraisals, it's got all the features that it needs to do that. I know that we are building another module. It's another add-on. It's the compensation module. It's going to be done sometime before the end of 2020, which is a nice complement to a performance management solution, because then you can take the scores and the budget and give the managers the ability to take their budget and allocate it across their team when it comes time for bonuses or raises or things like that. So that's in development, but it's a whole nother tool that would be an add-on.
So it's gonna be another year before that module's released?
Yeah, they're working on it right now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else to show us?
Not from my standpoint. We've given you a pretty good in-depth look at the performance management solution today. Did you guys have any other questions about it?
No, I think we're good. If you guys go ahead and, or Mac, if you could email me directly a link to the recording, that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. When it's done here, probably in about an hour or so, I'll get a link that said it's done, so I'll send it off to you.
All right, perfect. Thanks,
Okay.
Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
Matt.
Thanks, guys. No problem. You guys have a great week.
You too.
All
Take care,
right.
guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.